This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Following program is rated MA-LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, it doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes. Even on March the 2nd, we're trying to forget about the corporate bullshit. No doubt about that. Anyways, today's Monday. I hope you're off to a good and a grand one as we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM, and then hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
Radio Big USA, Canada, UK.
Oh, yes. You know how it is. We go down the multiverse of things, and we're hanging out over there. We're hanging out over here. We're doing this. We're doing that. So that's everything that's going on. So how have you been? How was the weekend? Did it treat you well? Did you see some exciting stuff? That's for sure. Some things that were definitely unexpected over the weekend. It seems like was affecting the world, but we'll talk about that here in a few moments. So if you do not know, our show is Safety in the News, News and Safety. That's kind of what it consists of. Thanks for coming back if you've been here before. If you have not been here before, and this is the first time, well, this will be a ride for you in regards to what we have going on, because that's just kind of how it goes. In regards to, we do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. So our show is a radio show that gets put onto a podcast network that moves into a video stream. Only the first hour is done and all that. Well, let me rephrase that. Only the first hour is done in the video stream and in the podcast network. Everything else is radio only. SafetyFM.com, RadioBig.fm. And then we're on iHeartRadio. We are on Odyssey and so on. So we're kind of a little bit of everywhere to find. But if you want to watch the video aspect, or you can see us on the majority of social media, or you can go to safetyfm.com and click on the section that says visual radio. But apparently in a few days, that was going to be a little bit easier to do, as well as we will have that incorporated into the podcast catcher. But we'll talk about that a little bit more as we get closer to those dates. Anyways, outside of that, if you want to interact with the show, all you have to do is go to, you ready for this? callinradio.com. Once you get their audio, video, text messaging, that will set everything up in regards of what's going on, and then we kind of move forward from there. So with that being said, I do have some friends that are sitting out here waiting from Feature Story News that want to talk to you about everything that's going on at the moment. Now listen, big weekend in the things that were going on, so I want to get into it right away in regards to being able to kind of cover the gamut of things that were happening. So if you're ready to sit back and for us to have the discussion, let's go ahead and do that. We'll bring in our friends from Feature Story News as they say what they need to say.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Neha Punia. The conflict in the Middle East has widened, with Israel now striking what it claims are Hezbollah targets inside Lebanon. This after the militant group fired rockets at Israel. Blake Shifton has the latest from Dubai.
As the Israeli and American militaries continue to carry out wave after wave of airstrikes on Iran, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that those strikes, that air campaign, would continue as long as is necessary, and he said that it was set to intensify. Now, those comments come after Iran targeted all of Israel with ballistic missiles throughout much of the day, and Israel suffered its first mass casualty attack of this war, with a ballistic missile hitting a residential building directly in the city of Beit Shemesh, west of Jerusalem. Israeli authorities say that at least 9 people were killed in that attack. The Israeli military on Sunday also announced that they were calling up some 100,000 reserve soldiers in Dubai. Here in the UAE, there have been further Iranian attacks. We've heard several barrages, several series of booms throughout the morning as well as in the afternoon. It's unclear if those were intercepted drones or ballistic missiles.
US President Donald Trump has meanwhile said there are likely to be more American deaths before the conflict with Iran ends, suggesting the US military intends to sustain its assault for 4 to 5 weeks if necessary. 3 service members were killed in action and 5 severely.
President Trump said on Sunday the US military intends to sustain its assault on Iran for 4 to 5 weeks if necessary. He insisted it won't be difficult to maintain that intensity. US Central Command said it had struck more than 1,000 targets in Iran in 2 days of operations, including ships, missile sites and command centers. President Trump said the US was engaged in one of the largest, most complex, overwhelming military offenses the world has ever seen, and he warned of the possibility of more American casualties, acknowledging that his administration expected that based on projections offered by the Pentagon.
Meanwhile, scores have been killed in clashes across South Asia, with protests against America's bombing of Iran turning violent. 23 died in Pakistan, even as similar protests were held across the border in India.
Large protests erupted in parts of India, including Jammu and Kashmir and Uttar Pradesh in the north of the country over the weekend, in reaction to the killing of Khamenei, largely led by Shia Muslim communities. Security personnel have been deployed in these areas. In Pakistan, as demonstrations escalated in cities including Karachi and Islamabad, security forces fired rubber bullets and tear gas, with people killed in the clashes. Pakistan's government has condemned the US-Israel military attack on Iran. India has called for all sides to exercise restraint. Rebecca Bunz in Mumbai.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, what was going on behind the scenes in the run-up to the US and Israeli airstrikes on Iran? We know that the US and Iran were engaged in talks in Geneva as late as last Thursday. They broke up, with both sides saying they needed to consult with their political masters back in their respective capitals. We also know that President Trump had built up a massive military force in the region by then. But was he played by the Israeli government into launching a war to topple the Iranian regime? Matt Fry, presenter of the UK's Channel 4 News, reporting from Cairo, says maybe.
So everything was in place, and in come the Israeli airstrikes. And then America is forced to respond and to take part in this action. Now, what I'm not clear about, and I can't get a clear answer out of anyone on this, is whether the Israelis literally set a trap for Trump that he fell into, or whether this was coordinated and they just kept it really quiet. But what I do know is that there's a very lively debate inside the White House between those who wanted a diplomatic solution, and I think that includes Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, those who favored a military solution, which I think includes the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, and the Israelis tipped the balance in favor of war.
President Trump now says he's ready for talks with the new provisional leaders of Iran's regime, although it's unclear what impact that will have on his suggestion that Iranian citizens should now rise up and take control of their own country. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. US President Donald Trump says there are likely to be more US deaths before the conflict with Iran ends, suggesting the US military intends to sustain its assault for 4 to 5 weeks if necessary. The conflict in the Middle East has also widened, with Israel now striking what it claims are Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. And that is the latest Feature Story News. Neha Punya reporting.
Listen to our host
of the Rated R Safety Show
self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
It's always amazing to me on how technology changes, and so does the environment that we're in. And cyber criminals will do everything they can to take advantage of a system. If you don't own a home, you have nothing to fear about what I'm about to tell you. But if you own a home like me and you don't guard it with home title lock, you're inviting home title fraud. One of the fastest growing crimes. Cyber thieves around the world know our home values are sky high at the moment, and that makes us a target. The crime is scary simple. Let me explain it to you real quick. A cyber thief simply forges your name on a property sale form and refiles it. That's it. Now he or she is on the deed of your home and you have no idea that you're a victim. Then the person takes out a loan on your home and vanishes, leaving you to prove to the police that you didn't commit bank fraud. Home Title Locks puts a virtual barrier around your home title. The instant they detect any kind of tampering or anybody messing around, they help shut it down. Look, if you have equity in your home, you need to guard it the best way that you can. Some people might even go as far as guarding it with their life. Go to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you already are a victim. And enter the code RADIO. That's RADIO. That's the code RADIO for 30 days free of protection. That's code RADIO at HometitleLock.com.
Safety never sounded so terrible.
Rated R Safety Show.
You ever hit the wall, burnout, stressed, or just feeling that everything is piling up and thought, yeah, I probably need to talk to someone? The problem is finding the therapist who actually takes your insurance feels impossible at times. That's where Rula comes in. Rula is a healthcare company that makes mental health care easy to access and actually affordable. They partner with over 100 insurance plans, so the average copay is about $15 a session, sometimes even less. With Rula, you get matched with the right therapist for you, not just whoever's available. Their network has over 15,000 licensed professionals, and you can book an appointment as soon as tomorrow. No wait list, no frustrations, just therapy that works with your schedule and your insurance. Thousands of people are already using Rula to get affordable, high-quality therapy that actually covered by insurance. Visit Rula.com/safetyfm to get started. After you sign up, you'll be asked how you heard about them. Please support our show and let them know that we sent you there. That's RULA.com/safetyfm. You deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget. Go to Rula.com/safetyfm right now to get started. That's RULA.com/safetyfm, because you deserve mental health care that works with you, not against your budget.
You've seen the loop. You've felt the shift. The script doesn't fit anymore, and neither do you. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct is the third and final signal in the trilogy from J. Allen, PhD. And this time, it's not about waking up. It's about what you do once you're awake. The system didn't break. It just stopped pretending to hold you. And now it's blinking, rebranding presence, packaging resistance, and calling it progress. This book isn't a guide. It's a transmission. It doesn't teach the system how to evolve. It shows you how to stop performing for it. You'll see what happens when awareness becomes responsibility, when audits don't listen, and when leadership becomes a loop. But if you've made it this far, you're not here to be managed. You're here to carry signal. Safety transmission. The Collapse of the Construct. Now available in print, Kindle, and audiobook. Narrated by J. Allen, PhD. Because if it couldn't hold your signal, it was never real to begin with.
Listen at your own risk.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, here we go. 14 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are talking and hanging out and doing all of the stuff that we have going on. No doubt about that. So let's get into it, and let's kind of go down the whole timeline here and then talk a little bit about what's going on. So understand safety in the news and safety. So we talk a little bit about everything that's going on. And what I always tell people is the reason that we kind of go a little bit of everywhere is because you do not want to start off a safety meeting just talking right about safety. Because if you do,
you're going to lose them.
You're going to lose them right away for the most part. So let's talk about some of the stuff that was going on over the weekend. Early Saturday, the U.S. and Israel launched what President Trump confirmed are major combat operations against Iran. The U.S. military is calling it Operation Epic Fury. In a video posted on True Social, the president said that America is carrying out a massive ongoing operation aimed at stopping what to be described as a radical regime that is threatening the U.S. and national security. He's been warning Iran for weeks, first over the nuclear program and then over the regime's crackdown on protesters back in January. This wasn't exactly out of the blue. The president also urged Iran's military to stand down and told Iranian civilians to take over your government, saying that the broader goal is freedom and safety for the Iranian people. Israel reports that Iran responded with multiple missile launches aimed at Israel territory or Israeli territory. At least two major U.S. military bases in the region were also targeted. Iranian missiles escalating the situation quickly from strike to counterstrike. Take a listen.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people.
Okay, so that was posted on True Social. We'll talk a little bit more about what was going on, but keep in mind that these clips, at least in the Eastern time zone, was the middle of the night when they came out. So not really familiar with what was going on at the time until I woke up on Saturday. I mean, I would love to tell you that it would be a different story, but that's not the case. So take a listen to this other one. Trump says that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. Listen to what he had to say.
It has always been the policy of the United States, in particular, my administration, that this terrorist regime can never have a nuclear weapon. I'll say it again. They can never have a nuclear weapon. That is why in Operation Midnight Hammer last June, we obliterated the regime's nuclear program at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. After that attack, we warned them never to resume their malicious pursuit of nuclear weapons, and we sought repeatedly to make a deal. We tried. They wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. Again, they wanted to do it. They didn't want to do it. They didn't know what was happening. They just wanted to practice evil. But Iran refused, just as it has for decades and decades. They've rejected every opportunity to renounce their nuclear ambitions, and we can't take it anymore. Instead, they attempted to rebuild their nuclear program and to continue developing long-range missiles that can now threaten our very good friends and allies in Europe, our troops stationed overseas, and could soon reach the American homeland.
Okay, so that's what was the second, or if we're breaking it up, kind of some of the structures of the clips. I believe it's like 9 minutes worth of stuff right there. And then last but not least, this is kind of what we broke off from there. Trump on what the U.S. will do to Iran. So take a listen to this one, if it plays, of course.
For these reasons, the United States military is undertaking a massive and ongoing operation to prevent this very wicked, radical dictatorship from threatening America and our core national security interests. We are going to destroy their missiles and raise their missile industry to the ground. It will be totally, again, obliterated. We're going to annihilate their Navy. We're going to ensure that the region's terrorist proxies can no longer destabilize the region or the world and attack our forces and no longer use their IEDs or roadside bombs, as they are sometimes called, to so gravely wound and kill thousands and thousands of people, including many Americans. And we will ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. It's a very simple message. they will never have a nuclear weapon. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
Okay, so that's all he had to say about what was going on at that time. So there you go. We have it kind of mixed into everything that we have going on. So what are you thinking? Of course, it's all over the place on social media because, I mean, that's kind of where we hang out and take a look at stuff. But what is your general consensus of the whole thing? Something to think about, of course, as we are talking. Now, listen, I'm not trying to jump from one thing that is not super great to another one, but we had to talk about this one because this happened over the weekend as well. 2 people were killed and 14 others were wounded yesterday in the early morning, yesterday, when a gunman opened fire at a backyard beer garden in Austin on 6th Street, the entertainment district. According to police, 53-year-old drove past the bar several times before stopping and then firing from a window of his SUV at people at the patio in the sidewalk. And then he got out with a rifle and continued shooting at pedestrians. And shooting at pedestrians before officers arrived and fatally shot him within a minute of the 911 call. Austin Police Chief Lisa Davis said that suspects used both pistols and a rifle. 3 victims were in critical condition yesterday morning. Inside the bar, tables were overturned and the drinks were left behind as patrons fled. 1 victim was found in the street between parked cars, and the Department of Homeland Security said that the suspect first entered the U.S. in 2000 on a tourist visa, became a lawful permanent resident in 2006 after marrying a U.S. citizen, and was naturalized in 2013. He was originally from Senegal. A law enforcement official told AP that the gunman was wearing clothing featuring Iranian flag design in a phrase that said "property of Allah." Authorities said that said indicators found on him that his vehicle prompted the FBI to investigate the shooting as a potential act of terrorism. The attacks occurred 1 day after the U.S. and Israel strikes on Iran, though officials stress that it's too early to determine the motive. Take a listen. So that was going on. What was, of course, onlookers were able to see while they were there. So not sure. I mean, it's just kind of a very weird time in regards to some of the stuff that's going on. No doubt about that. So what are you thinking as we are hanging out? I mean, so you had that event occur. You had the other event that occurred. So a lot of stuff going on inside of the world of the multiverse. No doubt about it. It's almost, you kind of go around and we start talking about some of this stuff and it's like, how crazy can you get in regards to some of the stuff that we're talking about? So there you go. Okay, so let's give you one more before we get into some other stuff. That's for sure, because that's what we do around here. President Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, is facing backlash after she photographed wearing a Whoop fitness tracker while standing next to the president during the launch of the Operation Epic Fury. The U.S. strike on Iran that reportedly killed the supreme leader. Photos released by the White House showed Trump overseeing the operation from the makeshift Situation Room at Mar-a-Lago. Critics online question whether Bluetooth-enabled wearable device should be present during sensitive military operation, raising concerns about potential hacking and surveillance interests. Whoop CEO Will Ahmed responded that the device has no microphone, GPS, or cellular capability and has long been approved by the National Security Agency to use in secure environments. The White House also echoed the statement, saying the device is cleared for classified briefings. Still, some questions some security observers noted that many intelligence agencies generally restrict personal electronic wearables as high security settings. So there you go. What do you think? I mean, I didn't even know what it was for a moment. I think I have a heart rate monitor from them. At one point I did, or not something that I use significantly or all the time, apparently, if I don't even remember the name of it. But interesting times for sure. The things that people point out to in regards to some of the stuff that's happening. Let's change the story for just a tad bit here, because let's get into something else. The death penalty is no longer an option for Luigi Mangione in the federal case tried to the killing of the United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Manhattan federal prosecutors announced that they will not appeal Judge Margaret Garnett on January the 30th, ruling that threw out the capital punishment components of the case, citing that legal flaws. This means that Mangione is convicted in federal court. He faces life in prison, no execution. Mangione is accused of carrying out a targeted shooting on Thompson on Midtown Manhattan sidewalk on December the 4th of 2024. In the federal case, however, he is not technically charged with murder. Instead, prosecutors charge him with stalking Thompson, alleging that the stalking led to the father of two's death. Judge Garnett ruled that in order to pursue the death penalty, prosecutors had to show a killing occurred during the commission of another crime or violence, better saying. She determined that stalking does not legally qualify as a crime of violence under federal statute. While acknowledging that the decision might seem tortured and strange to the average person, she emphasized that the law, not optics, governs the outcome. Mangione has pleaded not guilty. His federal trial is scheduled for September. He also faces separate state murder trials in June, where he could receive life in prison if convicted. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on with Mangione there as we are talking. It's interesting, too, as you start thinking about it, because people automatically will go, well, he's kind of cute. So maybe we shouldn't do anything to him, which I never understand that. So there you go. Okay, so take a listen to this because, we were jumping all over the place. So let's talk a little bit more here. Hundreds of demonstrators flooded areas outside of the White House on Saturday after the president announced a coordinated U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. The protests were organized within hours of the military announcement, which targeted multiple sites inside of Iran. According to the president, the strikes resulted in hundreds of deaths, including Iran's supreme leader. Crowds gathered across Washington, D.C., chanting anti-war slogans like "No hate, no fear, Iranians are welcome here," and "Stop the war, stop the bombs." Organizers included activist groups as Freedom Road Socialist Organization, 501 DC, and Code Pink. Demonstrators marched through the city streets as police and street service managed road closures and monitored the gathering. Protesters weren't limited to the Capitol. Similar demonstrations were planned in major cities, including New York, Chicago, Denver, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Miami, and Minneapolis, with additional rallies that were scheduled in several smaller cities following the day. So there you go, some stuff to talk about. Some interesting times for sure as we are talking. And then take a listen to this one, because this one was kind of out of left field for sure. President Trump floated the idea of a possible friendly takeover of Cuba while taking questions from reporters on Friday as he left the White House. The comment followed the deadly incident off of Cuba's coast on Wednesday. Cuban officials claimed that people aboard a U.S.-registered speedboat fired at Cuban border troops in what was described as an attempt at terrorist infiltration. Asked whether he believed Cuba's version of the events, the president didn't bite on specifics. Instead, he said that Cuba's government is in talks with the U.S. and is in serious financial distress. According to him, Cuba has no money, no oil, and no food, and is looking for help. That's when he tossed out the line, the U.S. could very well end up having a friendly takeover of Cuba. He added that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is handling discussions with Cuba at a very high level. So there you go. So it was at a very high level, then you throw that out there. Does it still remain at a high level, or does it become one of those things that it's no longer high level? It becomes one of those weird things that now everybody and their brother knows that this is what is going on. So then you start having a different conversation. I'm just asking because I never understand what high level and not high level is. Me being me, I have never been a high level person, and I think that it will remain that way for as long as I'm around. So what do you think? Not what do you think about me not being high level? That's fine. I'm okay with that. So there you go. Okay, so take a listen to this one. If you've been stressed, try dangling hundreds of feet in the air from a ski lift while your sister yells at you to stop wiggling. A 21-year-old skier, Raula de Miranda Arce, slipped out of the seat while riding a chairlift at Big Bear Mountain Resort in California. She was riding with her twin sister and a friend when she slid off the chair. And the two grabbed her arms and held her as she was dangling midair. According to her sister, Raula, was in a full panic mode while they shouted at her to stop, not to move. Raula later said that she was terrified, in pain, and she kept looking down, thinking that she was about to die. A fellow skier filmed the moment as the chair crested the hill, meaning that she could have been hanging even longer if it got hooked. The lift eventually reached the top. The ski patrol helped her off safely, and thankfully no one was seriously injured. Resort officials say that the proper safety protocols weren't followed. Raula says that she's grateful that her sister and her friend saved her, that the siblings' bond don't break at Thanksgiving. So there you go. I don't know. What a weird time, huh? As we are talking about that. So that's not a lift ticket. That's a trust fall when you start thinking about it. I'm just trying to figure out, how do you do that? Like, how do you fall off part of the side? So take a listen to this.
You're not slipping. Hold me on!
Oh, you're good. You're good.
You're almost there.
You're good. You're good.
I feared for my life. They feared for my life.
Tell me what happened when you were on that chairlift.
I kind of went down a little bit, and then since my hands, I also had my gloves on. I actually just slipped all the way.
Her twin Rizel and their pal McKenna quickly sprang into action. Rula, they saved your life.
Thank God that I have a strong twin sister and a wonderful best friend that without them, I would have literally either became a paraplegic or died.
In the middle of this scary moment, did you think it was a good time to record that selfie?
100%.
What okay, that's a little bit much. There was a selfie involved in the middle of all this shit going down. Yeah, well, first let me take a selfie. If I would have known that, I would have played that song as we are going. Anyways, it is 32 minutes past the top of the hour, and if you've been here before, you kind of know what happens next.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so main story time as we are hanging out on this lovely Monday, because that's what it is, that's for sure. So let's start talking right away. I want you to picture the scene, okay? So if you have to close your eyes for a moment, don't fall asleep. I'm just saying just close your eyes, and if you're driving, sure as shit, don't do this. The sirens have stopped. The dust has settled on the operational floor, and the yellow tape is up. And a worker is either sitting in an emergency room or sitting at home wondering if they still have a job. And what happens next? The corporate suits descend from the executive floor. They lock themselves into an air-conditioned conference room, order some catering, and pull off that dry erase marker. Pa-pa! And they begin the grandest theatrical performance in modern corporate world. They're going to do, are you ready for this? Root cause analysis. Yep. They're going to draw a neat little fishbone diagram that they're going to play with for the 5 Whys game. And they're going to trace the lines backwards until they find the exact moment everything went wrong. Let's call that exactly what it is. A root cause analysis, better saying, is a corporate fairy tale. It is a bedtime story that executives tell themselves at the board of directors so that they can turn off the lights and go to sleep at night feeling like, hey, they are in control of the universe. The boardroom fantasy in the map, the world is perfectly linear. A leads to B, which leads to C. The construct demands that every accident has a single identifiable, neat little root cause. And spoiler alert here, if you play the 5 Whys game long enough inside of the corporate conference room, the 5th why almost points directly at the guy holding the wrench. Why did the machine break? Because the maintenance wasn't done. Why wasn't it done? Because the worker skipped step 4. Why did he skip step 4? Because he lost situational awareness. Boom. Root cause found. The map is safe, the system is flawless, and the human was broken. But you know, and I know, that the truth about the territory, the blue line is not linear. The blue line is a chaotic, breathing, mutating street fight. It's competing goals. It is supply chain shortages. It is crew running on 4 hours of sleep because corporate froze the hiring budget. It is radio that only works half the time, and a procedure manual written by someone who has never worn steel toes in their life. When you try to take the gritty, multi-dimensional chaos out of the blue line, of course, and force it into a rigid two-dimensional fishbone diagram, you are participating in what I call the simulation. Philip K. Dick told us that the simulation is maintained by keeping people distracted from the truth. The construct doesn't want you to know that the engine of their production system is fundamentally starved of resources. That's too terrifying. So instead, they build a fabricated reality where the problem is a defective worker who doesn't follow the 400-page procedure. And then comes the output, the corrective actions. Thomas Campbell talks about entropy. Order and truth are low entropy. Chaos, noise, and useless information are high entropy. Look at the corrective actions that come out of RCAs or traditional RCAs. Retrain the worker, update the policy to include the new warning label, add a new signature line to the daily permit. Does any of that actually lower physical risk on the floor? Does a new signature line on a piece of heavy equipment stop it from failing? No, it is pure high entropy noise. It is administrative clutter designed to protect the system from legal liability while adding more noise to a worker who is already drowning in it. We have to break out of that loop, and we have to look at the philosophy, if one could use one, of JKD. Bruce Lee looked at traditional martial arts masters practicing their rigid choreographed forms, and he laughed. He knew that if you step into a real fight trying to follow some dead pattern, because it is a dead pattern, you are going to get knocked out. Reality doesn't follow a script. The root cause analysis is a dead form. And if anything, it's a dead form. When an incident happens, we have to stop trying to force the blue line into a rigid corporate template. We have to hack away the unessentials. Discard the fishbone diagram and throw away the 5 whys. Stop looking for the root cause and start looking at an environment and start looking at the mutation. Ask yourself, why did the action that this worker took make perfect logical sense to them in that exact moment? Because I will tell you, nobody wakes up at 4 a.m., drives to a plant, and then they decide, hey, want to lose a finger today? They were adapting to a flawed system. They were acting like water inside of a broken pipe. If we want to actually change the operational reality of our people, we have to stop writing fairy tales in conference rooms. We have to stop blaming the worker for failing to survive the simulation. And we have to hack away the administrative noise and step out onto the blue line and start intercepting what we should call reality instead of some of this bullshit that we want to make inside of these corporate rooms and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Have you ever worked the floor before?
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
If you're anything like me, you have certain tendencies to put things off, such as filing taxes, seeing the doctor, working on that home improvement project that you're supposed to be doing, but you just haven't gotten to it. And while most of the times it works out, the one thing in life that you really cannot afford to wait on is setting up term coverage life insurance. You've probably seen life insurance commercials on TV and thought, yeah, I'll look into it later. Well, the answer is no. This isn't something that you can wait for. Choose life insurance through Ladder today. Ladder is 100% digitals, no doctors, no needles, no paperwork. When you apply for $3 million in coverage or less, just answer a few questions about your health in an application. Ladder's customers rate them 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot, and they've made Forbes' Best Life Insurance in 2021's list. You just need a few minutes and a phone or a laptop to apply. Ladder's smart algorithm works in real time, so you'll find out if you're instantly approved. No hidden fees, cancel anytime, get full refund if you change your mind in the first 30 days. Ladder policies are issued by insurers with long proven histories of paying claims. They're rated A and A+ by AM Best. Finally, since life insurance costs more as you age, now is the time to cross it off your list. So go to ladder.com/safetyfm today to see if you're instantly approved. That's LADDER life.com/safetyfm. Ladderlife.com/safetyfm.
Radio Big.
USA, Canada, UK.
Okay, here we go. 43 minutes past the top of the hour. And you know what's missing? You know what's missing? Because I can tell you what's missing. It's supposed to go like this. But here's what happens. If you keep the music too low, you're not going to be able to hear it. Apparently, it's day number 1 again, starting off on the radio biz. Okay, so this right here, as we are hanging out here on the Rated R Safety Show, this is new for you. Claire Crowther. Songs readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music. I'm Pandora. You don't want to do it. So there you go. I would say give it a little streamer-eamer action. I would like that one, that's for sure. There is no doubt, as I say that, you can go ahead and give it some stream. So with that being said, let me tell you about the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help, and we want you to know that people have been where you are now and that healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, there's going to be information related to addiction, depression, anxiety, eating disorder, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. I'm going to tell you, it can change everything for you just by going to that website. No doubt about that as we are talking. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and talk about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. And before we forget, at the end of this month, March the 31st through April the 1st, Conklin Workshop taking place in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Would love to see you there. What is it going to consist of? Well, we're going to do an investigation. We're going to talk about some things that are going on, no doubt about that. We're going to listen to a story by Redonda Vaught in regards of what she had to go through. And we're going to workshop that thing. We'll have Brent Sutton there using some of his tools that he uses out in the field. Of course, Todd Conklin will kind of lead the whole investigation, and this will be hosted by Ann Laren. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.com and click on the section that says Live Event. If not, you can scan that barcode that's on the screen right there. So there you go. Another event that we have coming up right there in July the 13th. It's the Reality Shift, a symposium, an observational symposium to be exact. We'll have Nick Weatherly there talking about BBS, behavior-based safety. We'll have Todd Conklin there talking about human and organizational performance. And I will be there talking about Signal. We'll talk about some of that stuff that's going on, and we'll have a little movie, because we're going to be doing this one at a movie theater, coming out of the, not doing this one at a hotel. So we'll do this one at a movie theater. Would love to see you there. Seriously. This one will be kind of a different event compared to most. It will be the Reality Shift. It's just a one-day event occurring in Orlando on July the 13th. Barcode is right there on the screen. If not, you can go to the same place, safetyfm.com, click on the section that says Live Events, and we'll get everything moving for you, if you don't mind. So there you go. So a lot of stuff going on. Would love to see you involved in some of the things that are going on here. No doubt about that. We put that on for the general market in regards to see what exactly is happening. With that being said, let's talk, because I mentioned the movies, let's talk about what happened, if I can put it this way, in the box office.
The top spot at the box office this weekend. At the box office. The box office roundup.
The weekend box office.
At the box office this weekend.
Okay, so let's talk about the box office, because it was a big weekend, no doubt about that. And number 10 was Zootopia 2 with $1.4 million. And number 9 was How to Make a Killing with $1.6 million. At number 8, Send Help with $2.8 million. At number 7, I Can Only Imagine 2. $3.1 million. Let me see. What else? Crime 101, $3.4 million. At number 5 was Epic, Elvis Presley in Concert, $3.5 million. At the number 4 mark was 21 Pilots, $4.3 million. At number 3, Wuthering Heights, $7 million. At number 2 was Goat with $12 million. And coming in at the number 7 spot, coming in at number 1 was Scream 7, earning $64.1 million over the weekend. So I guess people could still not get enough of that movie. I think when that movie came out, 93, 94, 95, mid-90s for sure. And I mean, think about this. Over 30 years, that movie's still going. Good for them. Apparently they're doing something right. That's what it sounds like. Okay, so with that being said, why don't we go ahead and do this? I have my friend, John Small, waiting in the wing. He wants to talk about the Motivation Minute and what the hell's going on over there. So let's go ahead and bring him in and get that started for you. Because, hey, let's all feel motivated this morning. No doubt about that.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com.
Today's quote was submitted by Brian. Albert Einstein said, "The more I study science, the more I believe in God." Brian sent me a bunch of great quotes, and I'm going to make my way through them over the next few weeks. I love this quote from Einstein. He was known to be one of the most intelligent people on the planet. So it's nice to hear him say, "The more I study science, the more I believe in God." I feel the same way, and I know many others do as well. I watched a video that talks about a claim that God's name is written in human DNA, suggesting the molecular structure of DNA, specifically the spacing of atomic bonds, follows a repeating 10-5-6-5 pattern. Proponents argue this corresponds with the Hebrew letters Yod, He, Va, He, spelling out the Creator's name, Yahweh. Now, not all agree, but I think it's absolutely interesting, if nothing else.
The Motivation Minute.
This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
U.S. defense officials confirmed this weekend that 3 American service members were killed during combat operations tied to the widening conflict with Iran.
The deaths mark the first known U.S. military fatalities since the latest strikes began. Next of kin notifications are underway, and names will be released later. Leaders from both parties offered condolences while bracing the country for a possible long fight overseas. Liam White reporting.
U.S. and Israeli forces pounded targets across Iran through the night into Sunday as leaders warned the intense air campaign will keep going.
Pentagon officials say the joint operation is aimed at Iran's military and nuclear infrastructure. Iranian media report retaliatory missile launches and damage in several cities. Regional governments urge calm as oil markets, shipping routes, and air travel brace for more fallout. Lawrence Keller reporting.
Iran's military released new statements Sunday, vowing to hit back harder at the United States and Israel after what it calls massive aggression.
Commanders in Tehran claim they have launched waves of missiles and drones at U.S. and Israeli assets. State outlets report damage to bases and ports, though details remain limited. Diplomats in Europe and the Gulf push for de-escalation as fears of a wider regional war grow. Benjamin Wright reporting.
Global shipping firms rerouted vessels away from the Strait of Hormuz on Sunday, reacting to rising attacks and threats near the key waterway.
The narrow passage handles a large share of the world's seaborne oil. Recent strikes and drone activity have raised insurance costs and safety worries. Maritime agencies now urge captains to adjust routes, slow transits, and stay in close contact with naval escorts. Gary Beck reporting.
President Trump, speaking from Mar-a-Lago, said U.S. military operations in Iran are ahead of schedule and will continue as needed.
The White House says he has spoken with leaders in Israel, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates about the campaign. Aides report he is receiving constant updates from his national security team. Critics in Congress are already pressing for briefings and a clear path for oversight. Kyle Norris reporting.
Across the United States, airlines and federal agencies are watching global oil prices and airspace risks as the Iran conflict rattles travel routes and fuel markets.
Carriers are reviewing flight paths over the Middle East and weighing possible detours. Higher jet fuel costs could ripple into fares if the crisis drags on. Transportation officials stress that safety remains the top priority, while they track developments hour by hour. Kevin Sanders reporting.
A deadly shooting erupted at a bar in Austin, Texas, leaving 3 people dead, including the suspect, and 14 others wounded in the chaos.
Authorities probe a possible terrorism motive behind the mass attack. The incident unfolded late Saturday night during a crowded evening. Police secured the scene and are questioning witnesses for leads. Jessica Oakley reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Oh, yes. Rated R Safety Show still on Safety FM and Radio Big. No doubting about that. Or no doubt about that. What do you mean doubting? I mean, you can doubt if I'm on there. I mean, I guess. I don't know. Let's talk about some things that happened back on this date, back in 1976. Let's see. No. Let's not do that one. Let's go back to 1977. Should we go to 77? Nah, I don't want to do that either. Let's go to 1994. No, 1990. Greyhound bus goes on strike. That happened in 1990. In 1994, Miami begins Latin Walk of Fame. First star, Gloria Estefan. And in 2021, 6 books by Dr. Seuss will cease publication because of racist and insensitive imagery, according to the Dr. Seuss Enterprise. That happened back in 2021. Let's talk about some celebrity birthdays going on today. Jay Osmond turned 71. John Bon Jovi turned 64. Daniel Craig turns 58. Chris Martin turns 49. And Bryce Dallas Howard turns 45 today. Let's talk about some things that you ought to know, because that's what we do here. So let's do that. 3 U.S. service members were killed and several others injured in an ongoing military operations against Iran, according to the United States Central Command. The deaths have sparked backlash from some Republicans, with some of the frustration and criticism aimed at the president over escalating conflict. Following confirmation of the casualties, the U.S. Ambassador of the United States, Mike Waltz, released a brief statement saying, "Freedom is never free." So there you go. Also, Tyler Reddick won yesterday's Duramax Texas Grand Prix from Circuit of Americas in Austin. Here is Friday's Mega Million numbers. The jackpot was $458 million. That was 11, 18, 39, 43, 67. Mega Ball was 23. Since there was no jackpot winners, tomorrow's jackpot climbs to $473 million. And then here you go. Here are Saturday's winning Powerball numbers. Jackpot was 238 million, 6, 20, 35, 54, 65. Powerball was 10. Power Play was 4. And since there was no jackpot winners, that jackpot climbs to $249 million on tonight, better saying. So there you go. And then I want to give you a friendly reminder here, because we might forget. This weekend coming up, daylight saving times begin on Sunday, March the 8th at 2 a.m. So what does that mean? That means that you're going to lose an hour. You spring forward an hour. So don't forget that, because that's going to be crucial. Definitely Sunday, but if you don't know that by Monday and you're working on Monday, that could be an issue there.
Duh.
I mean, we don't want you to have some kind of level of a problem and that you show up to work late. Nobody likes that. That's for sure. Okay, so here's how it's going to go. Over the next couple hours, I'm going to be going over to radiobig.fm. I would love for you to come over there and hang out with me, as we're going to talk about the world of music and we're going to talk about the world of entertainment. But if you do not want to go over there and you want to stay focused more on some safety stuff, not a problem. You can hang out right here with the likes of Sheldon Primus. Sheldon will be talking about becoming a safety consultant or how to work within that whole spectrum of that. So all you have to do is stay right here on Safety FM. So if you go to radiobig.fm or stay on radiobig.fm, that's what's going to happen right now. If you stay on Safety FM, you'll get Sheldon Primus. So just some different things going on inside of the network. So here's some other things. If I can't give you some words of wisdom today, you are not your to-do list. You are not what you didn't finish. And you are allowed to simply be, even now, especially now. If I can give you some advice for today, 9 out of 10 times, it's not about you. So don't take it personally, because that's a big thing that happens inside of the workplace. At least it comes across that way. Anyways, if I can put it this way, I know who you are. You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.
Now you've